Okay, so we're going to be able to get started. We already have a few people on the call. So as usual, this call will be recorded and made available on our website by tomorrow, hopefully. And also note that as all our call for the foreseeable future, at least on the replenishment here, this call is available interpreted into French. There's a button at the bottom of the screen. The interpreter is already online. So if you would rather follow the conversation in French, feel free to jump onto the French channel to listen to us, to me speak in my native language. So it's great fun. And so this call today, I think we can just get started. So today the idea is for us to talk about our plans for the International AIDS Conference that will take place in Montreal from July 29th to August 2nd. So thank you all for joining. Obviously, we know that not everyone attending this call will be able to attend the conference itself. It's expensive, traveling is expensive. And as we know, there's been challenges with visas, even though I know that some of them are getting sorted. We know that it's been a challenge for them. So apologies if you're ending up among the ones with trouble getting there. But the idea of this call is that even if you're not able to attend the conference in person, there still will be opportunities to engage remotely and to amplify voices that are attending the conference. And for us, lucky enough to join the conference, to amplify your voices if you use your channels to make sure that the right messages are coming across to us during the conference. So all of this said, we'll first open and talk about the GFAN plans during and around the conference. Then I'll pass on the floor to Pauline Mazur, who will give us a bit of a guide of what will be taking place during the conference from a perspective of the Global Fund Secretariat. And then we'll hear from advocates from Canada. We have Robin Montgomery from the Developed Country NGO delegation to the Global Fund Board, who's on the call, and Ekata John from Results. So I'll be looking forward to hear from them, and they'll give us a sense of civil society engagement in and around the AIS. It's all AIS today.
Oh, for also.
And someone is in the background. Hi, Jay. All right, and so without further ado, I will be sharing my screen. No PowerPoint for me today because I made a very nice web page that will do just fine. All right, so the GFAN plans for AIS. So I'm posting in the chat a link to our webpage where we'll be putting all of our plans, all of our announcements. It'll be updated continuously over the next month. So our actions in and around AIS will be centered around 3 activities. I'm just going to scroll down. Hopefully, it won't look too bad. So we'll hold a civil society pre-meeting on July the 28th. It will be a 2-hour meeting, a chance for us to reconnect ahead of a conference. So there will be a chance to make sure that everyone is taking full advantage of the conference. We have also booked a meeting space near the Palais des Congrès. We'll be holding a number of events in the meeting space, and we'll make it available for people to book if you want to hold side events, meetings, etc. So again, try to make sure that we will support advocacy work in and around the conference. And finally, we have a networking zone at the Global Village. We're co-hosting with GFAN Africa and GFAN AP, and we'll be hosting sessions throughout the Global Village. So these will be the 3 pillars of our engagement during AIS, and then of course there will be communication, social media, and etc. during the conference. So the pre-meeting. Pre-meeting will take place on July the 28th, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So it's fairly short, just before the conference starts. And the idea is that we'll be providing you a guide opportunities for engagement during the conference, making sure that you're aware, that we all are aware of what each other are doing during the conference, so that we can amplify, be present at the right moment, amplify the right voices, engage in the right, in the right capacity. So we don't have yet a location for the meeting. We had a lot of enthusiasm around joining the pre-meeting, and so the space we had initially in mind is revealing too small. So we're looking for another one, but we'll be sharing that very soon. You should already have received an invitation to indicate your interest in joining the meeting. We sent it over the listserv, but just in case, if I'm putting it back in the chat, so it's an open invitation. If you are in Montreal on the 28th at that time, let us know through the form that I just posted in the chat, and we'll again recirculate the invitation later on, and we'll pass on the invitation once we have identified a meeting space. Yep, so that's going to be a Civis Psych's pre-meeting. It will be short. Hopefully, it will be focused and efficient, with a chance to reconnect before the conference. Then the GFAN meeting space, and thank you, Tara, for jumping in and answering Trey's question. So we've booked a meeting space very literally across the street from the Palais des Congrès, the conference center. So the hotel is called the Embassy Suite. It's very fancy. Very happy about it. So there's two use of that meeting space. On the one hand, it will work as an extension of our networking zone. So we'll be holding some sessions in that space. It has a capacity of 30 people. It will be set up so that we can have a hybrid session in the space. And I'll spend a second to review some of the sessions we'll be hosting in the space later. The other use of a meeting space is that it's going to be made available to anyone, free of charge. If you want to organize, if you want a space to meet up with your team, meet up with another organization, work, whatever, reach out to us. So you can find on the website the whole process to get access to the space. Essentially, you just send me an email, let me know what day and what time you have in mind, and we'll let you know whether the space is available or not. And yeah, we hope that we can help some of you that haven't been able to secure a space for something you had in mind, etc. So it's not in the conference center, but it couldn't be closer. So hopefully we'll be able to help you throughout the conference in getting things done. And finally, in the Global Village. So a challenge this year is that the Global Village is only open for 3 days. So full conference is 5 days, from the 29th to the 2nd. But the Global Village is only open on the second, third, and fourth day. So from the 30th to the 1st of August. That's why we couldn't fit all the sessions we wanted into our program for the networking zone, because we only have the networking zones for these 3 days. So I'm going to show you the program as it looks like as of now. It will be evolving as people confirm, etc. So it's on the website. Sorry, I don't know if you can see much from on the screen now, but essentially we're integrating in the program all the public sessions we are hosting. It's not loading on the website. What do you mean it's not loading on the website? Sorry, I hope it's loading on the website. If it's not loading, I'm going to put in the chat so that all of you can download it, and I'll go sort out the challenges, the technical challenges. So I've popped the whole program in the chat. So it's only a draft, it'll be evolving. So we've integrated in that program all the public sessions that will be taking place in our meeting space and in the networking zone. So there's 3 days during which the networking zone will be open. It's highlighted in red on the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st. And then across 5 days from the 28th to the 1st, we have our meeting space. And so you have all the events in green that will be that will be held there. In terms of some sessions we want to highlight, so we, GFAN, the Global Fund Secretariat, and our regional partners will be organizing a number of Global Fund specific sessions in the networking zone. Sorry, someone speaking. I don't know where you are, but please mute yourself. So we'll have a Peter Sands town hall on July 30th. So you can find it there. It's from 2:30 to 3:30. So we're very excited to have been able to work with our colleagues from the Secretariat to make it possible. We think it's really important that community and civil society get a chance to exchange with the executive director in this sort of forum. Immediately after the town hall, we'll have a shared session between the GFANs and the Secretariat. We'll be updating the participants on the replenishment, the last mile towards the pledging conference, what has been announced, how much are we expecting from whom, etc. So that will be taking place on the 3rd. As GFAN, we're hosting another session, organizing another session on July the 31st. We'll be launching a new briefing on key and vulnerable populations that we are now developing. I'm also quite excited about the session. Get a chance to talk about, a very right-based approach to lowering barriers to access. And finally, in the meeting space, not in the networking zone, we're hoping to host 2 discussions. One early in the conference on July 28th, another one late on August 1st, around the pandemic prevention, preparedness and response financial intermediary fund. I knew I was going to have a problem with one of those. So the new the PPPR 5th that will be hosted, but we think will be hosted by the World Bank. There's a directors meeting happening tomorrow, and we'll have more details then. So we'll be confirming that conversation, but it will take place in our meeting space. So that's an overview of some of the sessions that we're expecting to host in the networking zone and during the other meeting space. One thing to note is that I can see that some of the people on the call are people who will be hosting some of those sessions. So just to point out that we will be doing, of course, our part communicating around the sessions that are being organized in the networking zone and in the meeting space. Do also note that it will be a responsibility of each organizer to, go the extra mile in promoting their specific session. We'll be providing a package with templates to invite people, with space for your logos, space like our logo, etc., to make clear that the events are being hosted in the networking zone or in the meeting space. But yes, we'll be expecting some of the legwork to come from the organizers in terms of making sure that people do join. So if you have a session that is currently showing up on the program, expect an email from me in the next few hours / tomorrow with some instructions on how to promote your session to participants. And with this, sorry if I spoke a bit too long. Do we have any questions about the GFAN plans that in Montreal? You can unmute yourself. You can put your questions in the chat. Raise your hand. All right. I don't see anyone. I assume it's because I've been wonderfully clear. So again, please Rosemary, please.
Quinten, thank you so much. This is Rosemary, Waki Health and GFAN Africa. Just to add, one of the sessions that is not here, and we will be updating that, is a session on domestic resource mobilization. So as GFAN, our team will be organizing a civil society conversation on domestic resource mobilization. We have identified the time and date, which is on the 29th of July, but I think in the updated program, that session will also feature there.
That's right, and this is to say that obviously we will be updating as as a program change, things being shifted around. So keep an eye on the page and make sure that you get access to the latest program. I see a question in the chat from Shannon. Can additional events be organized in the GFAN networking space, or is it at capacity? So it very much is at capacity. We might see changes at the last minute, depending on some sessions being cancelled. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising because of the visa issues that some of them are cancelled. But yes, if you wanted to organize an event in the networking zone, it's a bit late. This said, you can see this. You can see two gaps in the program. One other gap has already been filled, and the person hasn't yet exactly confirmed. So I decided not to include it today, but it's not a real gap. And in the other one on July 30th, we're expecting an important plenary to take place at the time that we left free in the networking zone. And so that's why we decided not to organize a session then to make sure that everyone will be able to attend that plenary event. So yes, so it's a bit late, but do reach out to us if you have specific things in mind that you had to that you want a space to organize. We can slot you in our GFAN meeting space in the embassy suite. As of now, there's still quite a few availability, as you can see on the program. So it's not too late. It is a bit late for the networking zone. Any other comments? Any other questions? All right, then. With this, and of course, if you have any further questions, feel free to express them in the chat. Hi, Aaron. So is this already confirmed program or suggested one? So this is somewhat confirmed program. All of these have been confirmed with organizers, but we are expecting, because it always happens, last minute changes. So the program will only be final on the day, I would assume, and even then, I think we'll probably be expecting final changes as speakers are being pulled, etc., etc. But this is all. What is currently showing up on the screen is the best we can do at this time in terms of being confirmed. All right, on this, and keep posting questions in the chat. I'll answer them with my little fingers. Pauline, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and hello everyone. Nice to see you. So I'll share briefly, the main plans of the Global Fund Secretariat at the AIDS conference. So as you know, the AIDS conference is a key milestone of our replenishment campaign towards the pledging conference in September, and with like two main points. Sorry, there's an echo. The main point first is the key week to build our visibility towards the pledging conference as a major event for partners, media, and donors, and this at global level. It's an opportunity to raise the HIV and global fund issues politically and in the media in many countries. And secondly, as you all know, it's a potential pledging moment for Canada. So in this context, as in terms of organization of events, we as Global Fund Secretariat are focusing on organizing one key event, which is a symposium focused on themes that are priority issues for Canada. And it's under that, you can find it on the program already under symposium satellites. It's Fight for What Counts, Maximizing Health Equity, Gender Equality, and Human Rights in the HIV Response. It will take place Friday, 29 of July at 1 p.m. for 90 minutes. So it's not a technical session at all. It is really, an opportunity to highlight these issues within a replenishment narrative. It's being, the exact format and speakers are being finalized these days. It's really very much shaped along the spirit of Global Fund partnerships with speakers from governments, donors and implementing, community representative, private sector, the partnership model. It's replenishment focused. I mean, in terms of donor countries, we are also inviting representatives from the US and for France along with Canada, of course, so that, you know, we have a sort of last two hosts and the current host of the replenishment within the panel. And Canadian civil society colleagues will certainly speak about that, about the Canada pledge at the conference. And we still don't know. We don't know if it's going to take place at the opening session of the conference. It could take place, if they wish, in our symposium, or it could also not happen at the conference. We don't know, and we won't know until a few days before the conference, most certainly. But what is sure is that we are working very closely with our Canadian partners towards an announcement, hoping for a 30% increase and no less than 30% for an early announcement. So we are, you know, we are, in terms of organization, focusing on this one event, but we will be present and we are working with partners on a number of events in which Global Fund leadership and staff will participate. And that is in many sessions in the main program, in satellite sessions, in side event, but also in session in the Global Village. We have a very strong delegation headed by Peter Sands. There will also be Marijke Wijnrock, our vice chair, Lady Ross. Good contingent also from the External Relation and Communication Division. Françoise Vanny will not be able to participate, but Diane Stewart will, along with Christy Feig. And so, you know, from a number of colleagues from communication, from the PCSA, donor relation, but also, you know, our colleagues, Kate Thompson and 3 colleagues from the CRG team and also the HIV team. So there are really a number of sessions in which we will have Global Fund speakers, and we will compile this list that we've been sharing in the past of what we call a Global Fund related session, which is basically a compilation of all the sessions in which Global Fund staff will be speaking, which in a nutshell, you know, give you a sort of snapshot of quite a comprehensive number of sessions related to the Global Fund. And we plan to share that list 1 week in advance of the conference to get closer to, you know, the final list. You know that there's still, you know, especially with this session at the Global Village, still a lot of moving targets until a few days before the conference. We very much look forward to, with all of you, to facilitate Global Fund participation. If there are still events, meetings where you would like Global Fund participation, do not hesitate to reach out, and me or colleagues from the team can facilitate communication to ensure participation. Very much forward looking also to this session that Quentin mentioned, Peter Sands Town Hall. I mean, it's the moment where the executive director is having an open town hall with community and civil society at the AIDS conference. We've been doing that, you know, for many years and continuing. I'm very happy to have that at the GFAN networking zone this year. And Peter also will be speaking in terms for in the core program. We'll be speaking at the special session on HIV and harm conflicts that is scheduled at 1 p.m. and that is the main session that Quentin was referring to. Peter will be speaking along with Andrei Klepikov and one representative from UNA. So it's going to be certainly a very interesting session. In terms of communication, so we have also a good contingent from the comms team. And so in terms of media, as you know, the AIDS conference is a key moment for visibility. So the media team will be present, arranging interview with Global Fund staff, but also for civil society advocates and champions. And if all goes well and we have an announcement with a pledge, of course, we'll be working on press release and all the work around announcement. In terms of booth, we will have a booth in the exhibition space, branded with, you know, the 7th replenishment campaign. That would be a place where visitors can engage in the campaign, meet some Global Fund staff. We're also planning to organize some sort of small, very small meet and greet sessions, you know, once a day with the different teams. but there will be one also at the GFAN zone, and also at the booth, our colleagues from social media will be present and also collecting content, sort of on-site content with civil society and community present at the conference. In terms of social media, there's a toolkit in English and French that will be shared 1 week ahead of the conference. The toolkit will have personal stories, talking point, graphics, data points, along the usual format. And also during that week, we will be launching on social media the small video vignette, What Counts to Me video, this time focused on HIV, that were recorded in Berlin. Many of you participated in that, so perhaps you've seen that this last week we launched the first video of that series, focused on malaria in the context of CHOGM, and taking the opportunity to thank again all of you for having participated in this recording in the margin of the GFAN meeting in Berlin, creating really great content that we can now use throughout the campaign. So very much looking forward to seeing many of you and working with many of you at the AIDS conference. And to close out, just to say that really hope to see as many of you as we can. And we are very much aware and concerned with the visa issue, and flagging that also to our contacts at the government of Canada and the Canada mission in Geneva. And we really hope that the situation is going to improve, because the whole point of the conferences and is to have this global community together. So over, and if I missed anything, please raise or ask question. There are so a few colleagues from communication that are on the call who may want to add something, or yeah, over from my side, but happy to hear your questions.
Thanks a lot, Pauline. There's a question from Delphine in the chat on whether there's anything linking the toolkit, like in the toolkit linking the different disease, TB, malaria, with the people living with HIV.
I think this toolkit will be specifically designed for the AIDS conference, but I haven't read the question. I'm not sure. Is there a link? Yeah. Hi. So, and Jackie, yeah, perhaps you can add, and we will share the link on the other videos.
Hi, everyone. Yes, we will be working on the toolkit and kind of showing a broader integration. Of course, it will be primarily focused on HIV, but have links to other resources. And if there's anything in particular, kind of as you're looking ahead, that will help strengthen your argument or your communication, feel free to flag that early, because then we can make sure we find kind of the right resource to match your need. But I'm thinking it'll be 80% HIV with about 20% of health systems and other kind of integrations and intersections across the work we all do.
All right, thanks a lot, Jackie. I hope that answers your question, Delphine. I see you, sorry. If not, please share any data, fact linking. Yeah, okay. So, but I think that was addressed by Jackie. Any other questions? I just posted in the chat a link to a recent tweet of a video with an excellent cover picture of Delphine. Any other comments or questions for Pauline and the rest of the Secretariat team? Right, I will take that as a no, and if anything comes to mind later, don't hesitate to put it in the chat. Thanks a lot, Pauline. Thanks a lot, Jackie. And now I want to give the floor to our Canadian colleagues. I see Ekata is on video, so I assume that she'll be the first one talking, but if I'm wrong, Robin, feel free to come in and shout out. Ekata, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Quentin. I'll share my screen right now. Hold on. Can everyone see my screen?
Looks great, Agatha. Can see it well.
Okay, there you go. So, so as you all may know, like we've been running a multi-month campaign for Fight for What Counts, and our last big moment was the Pride in Toronto. So before we jump into the lead up to the AIDS conference, let me tell you a little about our output and the impact of our campaign at the Pride in Toronto. And so we had close to 30, we had close to about 13 coalition partners who came together to as part of this campaign. And we've been as part of a campaign, we've been calling on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to make a pledge of $1.2 billion. And we wanted the Prime Minister to make this announcement at the International AIDS Conference. And my colleague Lee will share, if you want to know who all participated in this campaign, we have tweets that our Results Canada ED Chris Dendis put out, which saw great engagement on social media. So we worked with an influencer agency, and we engaged drag artists and Batucada band. And we had on day one of the Pride, we had a booth that was co-hosted by One and Results Canada, and we had close to 1,000 visitors to the booth on day one. And it was amazing. It was quite inspiring because we had people walk up to us asking to take action. So we had 3 strategies for people who are active on social media. We distributed postcards with QR code to click to tweet. And for people active on Instagram, we had them post with drag queens and take photos tagging the drag queens and using the hashtag Fight for What Counts. And for those who weren't active on social media, we had postcards where we got people to write postcards to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, asking him, calling on Canada to invest $1.2 billion. So we distributed close to 589 postcards, which will be sent to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And we also distributed around 500 cards with QR codes with click to tweet. And we don't have the exact numbers right now because it's just been 2 days since the campaign, the parade, and we're still in the process of compiling it. And this is a sample tweet that was the automated tweet that was part of the QR code. And I don't know if everyone can see my screen. And then also we had close to 15 media hits from the booth interviews. We had people walking up to us and asking us to talk about the campaign. So a couple of media persons interviewed our drag queens again, who are already trained to talk about the Fight for What Counts campaign. So at the parade itself, we had 78 volunteers besides our marching band, besides the drag queens and staff registered for the march, and around 55 turned up. And I'd like to share a couple of pictures from our parade as well. So that's Results Canada just leading the parade. And so this is, we happen to, our parliamentary affairs manager, Neha, happened to spot the Liberal group. So she walked up to, and Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland was also there. So we took our pitch to her as well. So we had a chance to interact with the Liberal MPs as well. And that's our band. So a little about our actions for July. So as part of, I don't know if most of you are aware, we had a week of action where we met up with around 40 MPs across party lines, asking them to sign on to a letter calling on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to make an ambitious $1.2 billion pledge at the Global Fund 7th replenishment. So as of date, we've got around 27 Canadian MPs signing on to the letter. And yeah, so we will be submitting that letter on July 1st. And this is across party lines. We're still, we've not stopped our outreach. We are still reaching out to MPs in their constituencies. And in from July 1st to 14th, we are also with GFAN, we are coordinating an advocacy action targeted at Canadian embassies in Global Fund implementing countries. And my colleague Lee will post a link to the letter and and a report back form for this action. And on July 20th, this is being led by our coalition partner One, where volunteers will dress up as in mosquito suits, and they will wield fly swatters with 1.2 billion printed on them, and they'll create a bus at Parliament Hill. And from July 24th to 29th, the Pope is visiting Canada at the invitation of the Indigenous peoples. So our coalition partners are in the process of drafting a briefing note to be sent to the Vatican, calling on the Pope to discuss with the Canadian government the need for to make an ambitious pledge to address AIDS, TB, and malaria. And through July, we are also making along with in partnership with our influencer agency, we are making videos featuring around 13 drag queens from across Canada, grand members, and GFAN speaker Joyce Mathuru, who's had the opportunity to share space with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So we'll feature these videos where they talk about the Global Fund and the campaign and why Canada's investment is critical. We also have aim to publish 3 op-eds, one penned by RCED Chris, drag artist and brand member, and 2 by RC Advocacy Officer Lee Raithby, who's on this call, and Hannah. And while Lee will focus on TB and why the global and investment in the Global Fund is critical for TB, Hannah's will focus more on healthcare workers and how it's important to invest in health systems. As part of I know a couple of you have raised concerns about visa issues. The coalition partners in Canada are also writing a letter to Immigration Minister Sean Fraser, calling on him to accelerate visa approvals and reduce barriers to entry, basically. So Robin will speak to this in a bit. That's it from me. Over to you, Robin.
Thanks so much, Ekatha. Really great and really exciting events and developments over the last couple of months that have really culminated around this past weekend with Pride. So well done. Conte, I just want to do a time check. How much time do we have remaining?
You have 20 minutes remaining because GNP Plus wasn't able to join the call. So
okay, great. Great. So here, I won't go through everything on the slide because we have heard from Pauline and from Ekatha, but just to kind of underscore the opportunities to amplify voices and our messages. So in addition to the actual formal AIDS 2022 program, there are an important series of pre-conferences that I'm sure everyone is aware of, and the Global Fund will be part of. One in particular that you'll have seen me shoot through the GFAN listserv is the International Indigenous Pre-Conference on HIV and AIDS, and we'll have an opening ceremonies on the evening of the 26th, where Kate Thompson will participate in a high-level panel. We'll have a number of dignitaries at the opening ceremonies and across the 2.5 days. We're really looking forward to it, including statespeople from the USG, the US government, from the government of Mexico, and from the government of Canada. So it's an opportunity here to not only shine the light on the burden of the pandemic, HIV, TB, and malaria on Indigenous communities, but also the importance of the Global Fund in stepping up and contributing to the response to HIV, TB, and malaria within Indigenous communities. There's also a pre-conference on U equals U. We've already heard about the Canadian government sessions, Global Affairs, Public Health Agency of Canada, the Global Fund session. One of the things that we are hearing in terms of the pledge that have us a bit concerned, so we're continuing our conversations and bilaterals with the different folks within the Prime Minister's office, within the Minister of Finance office and Minister of International Development, is that in order to reach the 30% increase, Canada may be looking at including in there also a contribution to the C19RM. And of course, that's something that we don't want. So moving closer into, this is going to be a critical period for our lobbying, but also our bilateral conversations with the government, because we need to make it clear a couple of things. First, we won't be happy and there will be blowback if we get anything less than 30%. They also need to know that we won't be happy if we're rolling in also COVID-related funds into that price tag. And thirdly, this is a bit of country context. There are a number of domestic campaigns and asks from the HIV community here in Canada. And what we're trying to do is to blend the campaigns and the asks that are coming from Canada's HIV community sector for increased funding to 100 million per year, together with the global and our Global Fund ask. There's also an ask to the Canadian government for LGBT 2QI, increased funding for Canada's response globally. So we're really trying to bring these three campaigns together under the banner of, we can't hit the global targets, we can't reverse the lost gains on HIV, TB, and malaria if we don't have a strong domestic response and a strong global response. So those are some of the tactics that we're trying to tagline. Would be interested in hearing from others if you're all also hearing similar rumblings in your donor country capitals. There are also a number of key exhibition areas and networking zones where we will be not only hopefully celebrating a strong 30% increase at minimum from the Canadian government. That includes the Global Fund in the exhibition hall, the GFAN networking zone. Canada Pavilion has a networking zone and an exhibition in the exhibition hall. And then the Stop TB Canada booth in the networking zone as well. In terms of visa issues, as Ekatha was saying, we have sent that letter off. We are waiting for a response from the Minister of Immigration. What we know that the Minister of Health has this high on his radar and has been reaching out to the Ministry of Immigration to try to remove the barriers. We know that this isn't fast enough. We know that the IIS and UNAIDS, as well as the Global Fund, are also putting pressure on the Canadian government to help to expedite these visa applications and to loosen the restrictions that they currently have. It's quite embarrassing for Canada, and we will do everything that we can here at home, but also with all of your voices to make sure that this is a clear concern and demand. One of the campaigns that we had at Pride this weekend was one with a poster of Trudeau with a big question mark over his face, and 3 taglines that all fell under a fake, the title Fake Ally. So Fake Ally question mark, and then so the hashtag increase funds for domestic HIV response, at least a 30% increase to the Global Fund in the 7th replenishment, and then also a hashtag on removing the barriers to the visa process for global advocates and scientists around the world. And it really got a lot of traction. So hopefully the idea is that will spark again some political attention and put some pressure on Trudeau and his team in the Prime Minister's office. Because if we don't see the actions that we're hoping to see, then we will likely take the campaign to the next level, which will have the same poster, but instead of fake ally ? It will be fake ally ! And so again, we're just really trying to represent all of our voices here within Canada's domestic response, but also the challenges that all of our advocates and allies from around the world are facing because of government processes. So we do have a running list of folks who are having difficulties getting their either a response back from their Canadian embassy or consulate, or have received a refusal. I'll put my email address in the chat, and please feel free to reach out to me. That list is going to continuously is being sent to the Ministry of Health and to the Ministry of Immigration and to the Ministry of International Development, so at Global Affairs Canada. So please feel free to send us all of your news, and we will try to get this worked out from the front lines. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Robin. Any questions, any comments for Robin and Ekatha from any of the participants? Yeah, I think there's a lot of frustration around visa. Yeah, exactly. It's been a concern for a lot. We've heard a lot from it as well. I actually don't even think that it's has to do with Canada in particular, because it's like we had similar problems in Berlin at a different scale, of course, but because we had fewer people coming in. But it really seems to be just a nightmare to be traveling these days, and especially when trying to get to countries that have been spending 2 years closing up. Thank you so much, Robin. Thank you so much, Ekatha. Thanks a lot to Pauline and the rest of the Secretariat team for joining on the call. Since I see no more questions, I'm gonna put back in the chat the link to the AIDS 2022 page on our GFAN website, and I'll close on a few announcements. Sorry, there's a bit of background noise. So the first is that again we're looking forward to see a lot of engagement, not only in person in Montreal, but also from many of you who I know will be able to join us there. We'll be communicating throughout the conference, through our listserv, through social media, with daily updates. So whether you're there or not, it will be just as if you were, because every day after day, you'll hear the highlights of a conference. The other piece of conversation that is not directly related to AIS that I want to bring up is that as I mentioned, one of the conversations that is getting a lot of traction, we think is very important, is the one around pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, and the new fund that is being created. So with GFAN, we're really trying to tackle the issue and provide you with the tools to understand, because it's at this point, it remains a fairly technical topic. So we're trying to provide all of you with the tools to understand the conversation as it is happening. One element of that is a new brief and a page of resource that we've added to our website. I'm putting the link in the chat, and we'll have a series of event conversation over the next month and a half in the lead up to and then at AIS. Thanks. Yes, our new story on DevEx. Thank you, Chris. So one first element of a conversation, you'll get a save date in the shortly. We'll be hosting a webinar on the new fund, the PR5, on the 14th of July. So you'll be receiving a save date shortly, and we hope to be able to, it would be fairly long, it would be quite technical to make sure that we all have all the elements to understand the different moving parts of this conversation. And as I said, we'll be trying to hold a number of follow up on these conversations during AS, and we hope that these meetings will be hybrid. So whether you're physically present in Montreal or not, you'll be able to join and follow. On this, does anyone want to make any announcement or tell us about any particular activity they have planned to lead up to AS or updates related to the replenishment? No. Sorry. There's a call from Delphine to amplify the letter from the former G7 leaders, but it was published last week in Politico. It's in the chat. Thanks a lot, Delphine. Yes, Ekata?
Yeah, I wanted to add that we were also planning to bring a GFAN speaker to Toronto, Gautam Yadav, but he couldn't make it because of delay in his visa. But fortunately, he's got his visa like 2 days ago, so will be at the AIDS conference. So Results Canada is also like happy to support his trip with GFAN.
Yeah, amazing. We're really happy to hear that you will be able to attend, and thanks a lot for the support to make that happen. Then on this, and with 7 minutes to spare, unless anyone has anything to add, I'll be closing the call. Thank you all very much for joining today, this morning, this afternoon, this late in the evening for some of us. Looking forward to see many of you at AS and many more online throughout the hybrid sessions we'll be hosting throughout the conference. And yes, have a good day, have a good evening, and take care.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
Bye-bye.
Virginia and all. Yeah, bye-bye.
Take care.
Many thanks. This is really useful.